All right, we're back. We're ready to go.
All right.
You sitting up straight?
Yep.
Can you hit the light switch for us? Welcome back to another late night podcast
Woo!
episode. I think it's 35 because I just saw it like 10 minutes ago. But yeah,
Wow.
it's a blessing to be here. Hopefully, everybody who's joining us or who will be joining us in the future, um, is also happy to be here,
Yep. Hey, everybody.
and we're happy to have you. But yeah, so I think we have some good stuff. We already kind of were having a conversation, so just went ahead and jumped into this a little earlier than usual. It's still the evening, but it'll be coming out late night tonight. So back for another week. Hopefully you guys enjoy it.
All right. Let's get into it. So, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. I feel prepared for this new year, but this new season. I think, the new season is on the horizon. Just I feel like, for everybody, it's kind of I can't speak for everybody, but obviously the seasons come and go as we've talked about on previous episodes, but I guess just when you feel like you've kind of accomplished some things, or you've checked some things off the list, and there's maybe that in between time of maybe it's you can rest a little bit or maybe it's time to plan or both, but I feel like I'm ready to embark on, some new challenges and, some things that'll prepare me for the future, but also some things that I'll enjoy working towards, taking steps further toward. So
Hmm. Yeah, I like that. You said that you are feeling prepared real confidently. So that's
true.
good.
True, 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 true,
I
true.
think that's really good.
True.
You gotta you gotta prepare, especially if you're expecting something.
Yeah. I don't
So,
want to shy away from opportunity to prepare.
yep.
Um how you feeling? How are you?
Uh, I'm good actually. I think I'm making some progress. I've been journaling,
That's
and
great.
for those listening, I recommend journaling. 10 out of 10. It's allowing me to learn more about myself,
Yeah.
and I find myself even thinking a lot more about what I'm experiencing. So that's like opening up a new lens, like
Neurological pathways.
basically to help me, see myself better. Maybe things that I already might know about myself, but I don't know. It's just really kind of bringing those things to the surface level
Yeah.
and giving myself the confidence to like really step into it more mindfully.
Yeah.
I'm not just knowing I can do something or I think a certain way, but it's been really good.
That's good.
Helpful.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's a good reminder. Honestly, I think sometimes people think about journaling as just like you got to have a diary, but I mean, it could be in a notebook, it can be in your phone, whether it's a voice note or, I mean, I would even say a conversation with yourself, like, in the form of prayer or even just thinking out loud. And maybe, as ideas, come about, you write some things down, maybe. But essentially, um, I do think it's a good reminder to really just it's a way to spend time with yourself, you know,
Yeah.
and get to know yourself more, which is kind of what you just said, but also I think just even to have something to look back at in the form of like documentation, I guess documenting where you were and maybe even seeing where that got you and maybe seeing where you could take some of the habits that you had before that were good and, like implement those. But
Mm-hmm.
you would have to do that to actually be able to benefit from that, you know. And
Yeah.
I've never journaled indefinitely, long enough like to be able to know that I just journal for however long straight.
Yeah.
But I always write. So I mean I do journal. I just do it different.
It can be tedious.
Yeah.
I would say I don't always feel like writing my thoughts out,
Yeah.
but it's cool when I do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's good. So journal, right? Think,
Yeah, basically.
thrive. But yeah, so first question of the day to
A
continue our conversation.
that was a little drum roll.
um, how important is it to maintain a connection, I guess just with your friends or your friend circle? And by connection, I mean like, just not, I guess not just having a relationship that's founded on just like having fun, maybe, or I mean, it could be founded on that. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but just kind of like going the flow, same old, just being familiar and comfortable, but actually like there being like a synergy where, you balance this energy between each other where, you push each other, you require growth of each other, you foster an environment, a healthy environment to help each other to um, just continue to thrive and to be better. But, how important is that connection between the ones you love, and yourself?
I mean, I think it's important for sure. I know one thing we can say is that the people we're connected to definitely have an outside view of us,
Hmm.
and I don't think we should disregard the value that that can bring to us,
Yeah.
especially if we do want to grow. However, I just I don't know. I just think that the connection, it shouldn't be compromised for one reason or another if it's just like truly a friendship.
Yeah.
Cuz I guess even the thought of you asking that question, like how important is it to maintain that? Because I think
To
like
have it.
to have it,
Like, how important is it in general?
um because a friendship is a relationship just like any other relationship.
And I say friendship, but I guess I mean like it could be friendship, it could be family, it could be business partner, but like just that those close bonds, like all of those, I would say are on the same level. Like any relationship you esteem, like as important or of value to you.
Mhm.
Not just like maybe acquaintance or classmate, but
Yeah. And I mean, I know that again, these are all relationships that require time, effort, energy,
hmm
but every connection to me is just like different.
yeah,
And because this is life, I just feel like there should be just a level of understanding, especially because I feel in any relationship, I think the individual
hmm
on one side or the other can go through a certain season,
hmm
and whatever place that person find themselves on that side of the spectrum,
hmm
I think it's just their job in maintaining the connection to me is just to be like understanding.
yeah,
So the importance in maintaining the connection to me is essentially just making sure we're just fostering an environment of understanding.
yeah,
Like I don't think there shouldn't to me be any reason why it should get lost, but I think it connections are not maintained for plenty of like external like reasons or factors.
So going back though, you said there are reasons why like, a connection can be lost or why it might get, you might have said tripped up or something like that, which is like a good, visual to it. But like what are some things that would cause a connection to be lost or to, I guess, degrade over time?
I think expectation is a reason for connections.
hmm I would say time is definitely one, which you said, but I was thinking that like time because you kind of can become comfortable not realizing that like everything requires maintenance. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you're not just maintaining, like we've taken that word and kind of, I feel like made it to mean keeping it at the same, like keeping it going almost,
Yeah.
which in a way, but I feel like maintenance should also be improvement too. You know,
Yeah.
like there are ways that you can maintenance something, but you can make it better and make it stronger.
Yeah.
You know, because you already have the foundation, so you don't have to keep back and keep back, keep going back, I should say, and rebuilding the foundation. Like now you can just keep building on top of and take away things that aren't necessary, but replace them with better. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and build on top and build. You know, so
I like that. I like that. I think even I think even having maintenance first is good because it like breaks down to all of the principal elements to
hmm
me. Like maintenance is like improving communication,
yeah,
improving
definitely,
uh
definitely,
I mean
definitely,
communication is a big thing cuz it goes into what I just said about like expectations too
yeah,
because without communicating we don't even know how our own expectations of things are like changing, especially with adding in time and distance,
yeah,
if that's a factor in somebody who's listening out there, that can be something as well we don't realize, especially if you know between work and life and all the thought processes and things in between, we don't realize how much our perspectives shift and change.
yeah,
So then when we're talking to people, even people that we're close with,
hmm
um, it's like we're constantly having to reestablish like where we are
yeah, yeah. That's good.
with life, with things.
So yeah, the you just said something else. I think perspectives are another thing that can be impacted that might cause the connection to be degraded or to trip up
Hmm.
over time because I guess perspective, especially those perspectives not being shared,
Yeah,
you know, like
yeah,
not acknowledging that a perspective might change or have changed and addressing that, to
hmm,
make sure that we provide the necessary whatever that's necessary.
yeah,
Because one person, let's just say, I mean, we're talking about a connection between two people. Like one person may experience something that causes their communication to be affected. Maybe it doesn't change permanently, but now the other person has feelings and they think that they take it personal. And now, but if those perspectives are never shared or they're not shared soon enough, now that changes the dynamic of the relationship and puts potentially a strain on it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
As opposed to like, yeah, I'm feeling like this or this is happening or hey, why just trying to do the best to I guess acknowledge or notice or consider. But again, all of this to basically to maintain, on the highest level though.
yeah,
Not just to maintain as in the sense of, well, yeah, we're familiar, so we're gonna still be cool. It's like that's good, but there's not necessarily growth in just still being cool, or
hmm,
still being connected, But the beauty of that is there's always the potential for growth,
yeah,
staying connected, but there might also be the potential for the opposite of growth too, by staying connected where you shouldn't.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, what you're asking is such a packed question because there's literally just so many things running through my mind as you're talking.
True. Well, I mean, I think it can be answered in a simple answer, but we want to just dig into it.
What's your simple answer?
How important is a connection? Very important. That's the simple answer to me. But when we say how important, it's also we're saying like why, what
Yeah,
makes it important, and
yeah,
so.
yeah, we know it's important.
But I don't know because some people, I think it just depends on the way that people connect too. So that's why I say even to say the connection, like you said, that connection between different people, is unique to each relationship.
Yeah,
But, as I was kind of posing the question, it could be multiple people that formulate, let's just say, a friend group, or, you know, it could even be a business. Like these people have a business together. But ultimately, like, that connection is vital to, just the way that they move things forward together, the way that they're able to, whatever vision they have for each other or for what they want to do. Like it's vital. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Borderline lost my train of thought, but I think I'm just saying like I'm saying like obviously we know there's a connection between people, but like there's also a connection that can be so I mean, so much deeper than just like the fact that we know each other. It's like us
Yeah.
connecting on a level that is like constantly taking us somewhere. And it's all of us choosing to, that's why I used the word synergy before earlier. It's all of us like choosing to stay tapped into that so
Mhm.
that we're able to continue to move like on this ship together.
Yeah,
You know,
that's exactly what
like
it
that's the
is.
connection I'm
A
speaking
ship.
to.
Yeah, well, that's a great analogy because it is all a ship that we're all on.
Yeah,
We're all pushing that, like a rowboat, I think, or a kayak. Like we need to be, we need to have the same motion if we're gonna get somewhere.
true.
But
True, 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 true. That's good.
to what you're saying, I think that's why I brought up understanding earlier. And, this is something even I've struggled with and thinking about because how it can be sometimes difficult to maintain those connections, even
Mm,
if they are important, because we are we all have this sense of individuality,
mm,
our own purpose, our own vision for the things that we want to do. But when you know you're connected to people,
mm,
I think sometimes that can, I guess, feel like it can, if it's not really maybe going the way, or if you don't feel understood in
mm,
your pursuit of whatever it is you're trying to do, you could feel like your sense of individuality is now being, I feel like, judged or
yeah, yeah,
compromised within the relationship.
yeah.
And that can be tough knowing that it is important to maintain a connection, but like, how do I do that and then still hold on to like my sense of like who I am, what I'm trying to do?
That's really good because that's a really good point of reference because that's why I feel as though that connection that I'm speaking of, that we're speaking of, is not just it's not just about two people connecting. You know what I mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
we're making a connection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We're not just coming together. That's a part of it. But once we've come together, like now we're making a connection and it's us, constantly staying focused or coming together about that. Not to say
Mm-hmm.
we don't talk about ourselves or, connect personally,
Yeah.
but it's like that personal is almost like everybody's responsibility individually first, but
Absolutely.
then collectively, obviously, you know, we are, it's a relationship. So we're here to help to maintain, I would say, each other's sense of purpose. But like, we would only be able to do that because we have this thing that we connect on, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to just make the thing sound like it's a hobby but it could be. It could be something so simple as we play freaking table tennis
Yeah.
and, we play every week, you know, I don't know, like whatever steps go into that, it might not even be that deep, but we keep each other going down that path of maintaining this schedule of playing table tennis.
Yeah.
But it could be a much greater connection, much more intricate, but the steps are still small. Like, we making sure that we're staying spiritually in tune. We're making sure that you know, our habits are in order, but you can't do it all at once, but you got to maintain that connection to even do it at all, to even have a chance. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So at a certain point, I think the personal goes out the window, you know, if it's about the group. The personal is like when you're going to work on yourself.
Yeah.
But you should come, speaking on preparation, you should come prepared to connect,
Yeah.
you know. And I don't say that like it's just so simple, but as I'm trying to think through it, I feel like that makes sense. Like you don't come to the group worrying about yourself,
Yeah.
you know.
Of course. Um,
But if you really need to lean on the group, obviously the connection is strong enough. They should be able to,
But see, and what I'm getting ready to say is kind of like a flip thought of what you just said
Hmm.
of like leaning on the group.
Yeah.
Obviously, to do it in that way, we could say like, yeah, it's like a support system
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that. But at the same time, I think it's good you make the that you distinguished of not just simply connecting, but making the connection
Hmm.
because that says that there is purpose here.
Exactly.
And without that, though, if one person or another doesn't know that, I think that's where offense can come in
Hmm.
on like on
Meaning
the
like being offended.
yeah,
Hmm.
on the individual level
Yeah.
because you said like personal has to go out the window.
Yeah.
If it doesn't,
At some point.
yeah, but if it doesn't, I think people can get offended and I think now the reason for connecting
Hmm.
like we kind of said in the beginning, I think that is where it can kind of get lost now.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, when I say personal going out the window too, um, if I said it like that, it sounds harsh. But but it's like at some point, yes. But even that is even me making it seem as though like there should be nothing personal. But really the personal becomes like what the group's like
yeah,
purpose is. That's personal to me.
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? So it's not technically personal goes out the window. It's like you adopt a new vision when it
mm-hmm,
comes to this circle, this group, these loved ones, like we have a common goal or again, it could be simple or it could be super intricate, but I think in order for it to be, as healthy and as successful, or to reach its full potential, like it would need to be the connection is important for that to happen.
and back to what we said though earlier, the main thing, I mean, it's hard to do that without the communication.
Yeah.
We have to we have to communicate where we are and our with our perspectives and our beliefs, our values. I mean, I think a lot of it can be seen even. Um, but I guess, just to be more inclusive of relationships that are uh, that do have to kind of deal with time and distance.
Yeah.
That's a very important factor because it's easy to do it when certain people are like right in your space. Even then, that might not necessarily mean like the purposeful connecting and connections are happening.
Hmm.
It can just appear that way.
Yeah.
So it is important to, just still assess what is happening within that space as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it has to be done regardless of how close in proximity any relationship like we're facing
Yeah.
are.
Um, no, that's yeah, definitely communication. I mean, it's major. And I was actually gonna say something to add to just just the necessary like kind of leaving behind the personal, to adopt like the bigger picture of, the common goal, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's almost like to transition from comfort and being comfortable to like being uncomfortable is like, well, yeah, I know I have whatever might be going on with me, but I'm gonna put my best foot forward, and then whatever I'm lacking, like somebody will pick up my slack. That's the beauty of like us all being like in this synergy connected, sense. But if
Yeah.
I just show up and say what I'm lacking, like now we have to concern. Everybody has to concern themselves with that and pick up my slack. You
So,
know.
so just to backtrack for a second for our listeners, I mean, so how do we do that? Like, what does that look like for real when we say putting our personal aside
Mhm.
for the I forgot how you
Greater
worded
good.
it.
You can
Yeah, the
say it
greater
like
good
that.
of the
Common
group.
goal is how I put it too. But
Yeah.
I mean, how do we put aside our personal? I mean, there's a time and a place. I feel like you got to work on yourself. Like if I use an analogy, I mean, a sports analogy, like when you're with the team, you work on team. You work team building plays, even if you're doing drills or whatever, like it's still for the purpose of like building that team morale. But when you go work on your own game too, so that when you come together with the team, you have something to bring to the table.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You don't show up to the team like, okay, what do I do? And then on top of that, you don't even know what you do yourself.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like that's just an analogy, but I would say in the same sense, I mean, it could be like, we can even just say with friends. Obviously, we know friends get together and talk about their problems or how they feel, or they talk about maybe what they enjoy. And I'm not saying it's just all a quote unquote negative thing, um, but I think most healthily, a healthy friendship is one that's like you come together and you still see how you can make each other better.
Yeah.
Not like you just pull all the baggage in and let's just have a pity party,
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, practically, it's like, I'm not saying you just deal with the personal on your own, but there's a time and a place for it. So, once you've kind of brought it to the table, it's like, all right, now how do we get better? You know what I mean? Because even that helps the other person to not just feel like they got to carry what you just brought to the table, because they might be dealing with something. But if we
Right.
get together and say, let's let's push each other as friends. Let's give each other constructive criticism. Let's provide solutions to each other's issues and not just pour, I don't know. I'm saying salt. I'm trying to use analogies, but like pour whatever on top of it to try to just let's make it feel better. Like no, let's actually resolve these things, or actually over time let's grow. I think practically speaking, like that helps these friends grow even closer than just knowing that we both have problems. What you kind of said earlier. You called it. You said trauma bonding.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Which is an interesting term, but it's like trauma bonding. I mean, that sounds cool. It's like, yeah, we're just bonding about these things that we have in common. But like you said, there's an expiration date to that. So at what point does it become like, I don't know, legacy bonding?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the same friends, but the conversations change, the mindsets shift, the outlook. We're not dwelling on our past, we're dwelling on the future. So I don't know if I answered the question entirely, but I do think there's a time and a place for it as far as leaving your personal, you know.
Yeah. That's good. I guess as you're saying all of that, I mean, you know, because there may be some people out there who are in the midst of like that type of situation, like actively, and they're wanting to make the shift, right? But for one, like we mentioned earlier, we know that making the shift does require communication. So how, I don't know, I guess like how does one prepare to make a shift like that or to communicate these things? Because I mean, because that can be tough. We're talking about something that, especially talking if we're including groups of people, that we're talking about something that is essentially normal right now. So to propose this shift in our language or our perspectives in order for us to get better, while on the outside it could sound good and it could sound like everybody should just accept what is being said right away because like that's good and that's true.
Yeah.
But truthfully, having certain types of conversations and like you said, we may complain to our friends or do things like that because they're our friends, like they're here. But when you do want to like elevate the friend group, you want to elevate yourself first and foremost, but then you also want to elevate the friend group as well. How do you prepare for the response you might get as a return? Because I think a lot of times that can just look like people are thinking you changed or like you don't want to hear what your friends have to say about what's going on with them anymore, and like you're being weird or distant.
Mhm.
And I think that's a truth that comes out of what were, like we said earlier, we're expecting.
Yeah.
We've made the mindset shift, but there are expectations that have already been established
Yeah.
in these relationships that essentially we're going to have to face
Yeah.
as we're making this transition.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good stuff. I mean, I think like you said, going back, for one, I think, just to maintain the connection, but even more so, if you not only want to maintain it, but if you want to actively improve the connection, and if you see yourself going somewhere, you got to evaluate like the people that, you're connected to.
Yeah.
I feel like you got to evaluate that connection. I mean, you can evaluate people to the best of your knowledge, but it's really more so, what is that relationship doing for you,
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think being mindful constantly of like what can degrade or possibly degrade, I'm using that term because it's like a battery degrades over time. So
Hmm.
it's like it just loses, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
nothing's being done to it. It's like they put all this juice into it and you're just draining it over time. So it
Yeah.
might like be able to recharge for itself. I mean, recharge itself, but over time, like it can't just keep doing that to full capacity unless you charge it up,
Hmm.
But it's like, yeah, like what are the things that degrade the connection over time, So we mentioned a couple of things, but obviously just like a lack of communication, a change of perspectives, or different perspectives, time, in and of
Yeah.
itself. Like if there's time and distance, like, and you're not just actively talking, but even to just connect on a deeper level, to really talk about, what your morals and principles and, and that kind of, leads into the next thing. I feel like just being mindful of what can degrade it, but also, being mindful of your principles and
Yeah.
morals. Do you share that with those people you're connected to,
Hmm.
because that's important too. And then, I mean, we always talk about vision, but if you really have a strong connection with somebody, then they've got to be a part of your vision,
Yeah.
like not saying like they have to be, but I would think that they would be
Yeah.
naturally. They're that close to you. And so I would think y'all would talk about your vision and there's got to be some alignment there. And if
Yeah.
there's not, if y'all are going in two different directions,
Hmm.
I mean, it doesn't mean you can't still have a connection with those people. But back to the original question, just how important is the connection? I think, like you kind of said, it's relative. There's different relationships, but that connection is as important as that relationship is to you, you know. So I just wanted to give them some
Yeah.
lunch meat
Yeah, that's good.
sandwich.
It's funny because we're saying all of this, but I really just think, I mean, like you answered the question earlier, yeah, like
Mm.
very important for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But how? The simple answer, okay, two things. Definitely being our authentic selves. And I think not being afraid or ashamed.
when
uh,
you say we're saying what now, how to maintain it.
Yeah, just like, I mean, the basis
Mm-hmm.
of what it really looks like
Mm-hmm.
to me is like we can't be afraid or ashamed to be our authentic self.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
we have to be most accepting of ourselves through every like change, transition, or evolvement that we make as we continue to grow.
that's a good point. You know why?
Why?
Because when you say like, how do you put the personal aside? I feel like if you know who you are, then you're able to do that because you don't have to question that. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So that was great, in my opinion.
And I mean that to me is the basis.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
we can't like shy away from, and it's even okay that before something was the way that it was, that's a part of us too.
yeah,
But we shouldn't just throw away who we are now just to only satisfy who we once
yeah,
were because other people are used to that. So I think being able to do that, and of course like we can't run from the communication, but
mm-hmm.
I also think that the communication can flow most easily
Mhm.
when we are just accepting of who we are, like today and right now,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
where we are with it.
I agree.
And we can communicate from that standpoint, not from like the place that has to prove something to somebody.
Yeah.
It's just like, this is how I think now. Like, this is who I am today.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. Was that 2 things?
yep, 2 things.
So
Unless you have something to
you
add.
said being authentic, being your authentic self, and
Don't run.
don't run from the communication.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the communication will flow, I feel like, as a byproduct of who you are.
That's good. That's good. Well, yeah, we let it flow on this one. So hopefully you guys, and girls get something from that, and just continue to study to show yourself approved. I think as the Bible says, I don't know what chapter, what book, but essentially just know, like, you got to study, you got to be a student of everything you do. I feel like relationships are one of the most vital components to life. It doesn't mean you have to have so many of them, but without even realizing it, I mean, we have a relationship with many different things throughout our day. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
people are obviously the thing or the component to life, the element that, God gave us the position of like tending to the earth, and he gave us purpose and whatnot. So I feel like us connecting is important, so we can do it together. But, whether you have one best friend or 10, I mean, just try to be, on the same page with the people that you're most
Yeah.
connected to, so that, you're not being steered in the wrong direction without even realizing it, or in a direction that you just don't choose to go in.
Yeah.
So study yourself, study others, study what it even means to have a relationship, and just get better at doing it. That's what we're aiming to do by even talking about it. And we just decided to bring this, what was really like a personal conversation, to kind of try to make it practical and, talk through it, make sense of it, and share it with you
Yep.
all. So yeah, I know we're a day later than sometimes we put these out. Telling on myself, but every week a new one, and hopefully you all you're enjoying the night, and you all will enjoy the weekend, and you'll enjoy this episode. So thank you for listening, and
Yeah.
you got something for them?
I would say don't shrink.
Okay, don't shrink. So if that T-shirt ain't supposed to go in the dryer, hang it up.
Don't shrink who you are. Shine your lights.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to do it. So,
Yeah. That's good. We love y'all. Peace.
peace.